thought I should be a bit more intimate with you guys, because this is something that is so near and dear to my heart that I feel like if I'm just standing up, I don't think it's going to work. And in general, I think I just want to be a little bit more relaxed, you know? I want to loosen my shoulders up and kind of really just start feeling the vibe instead of sitting there standing up like, hello, welcome to my video. Like, I don't want to do that. When I was a kid, I used to look at clips of movies that my parents didn't let me watch, because they had this rule. They'd say, you know, you got to wait till you're 13 before you're going to see this movie or that movie, even though I saw some really fucked up movies when I was younger. Like, I saw The Terminator when I was like 8. You know, I saw Ghostbusters 2, which Ghostbusters 2 fucked me up. I mean, that scene where they're in the subway tunnel and they got the heads on the spikes, and when they steal the baby out of the window, that shit was fucking terrifying, dude. Fuck any other childhood scare moment. I don't care if you were scared by Goonies. That is the most terrifying shit I've ever seen in my life, short of like your actual parents being murdered in front of you. Like, that's the most traumatizing shit I could think of. And you know what also changed my life? If you'd subscribe to this YouTube channel. Sorry, you just found me. I'm in heaven now. Make sure to like that video too, because I'm an insecure person. You know, I need to know if what I'm doing is good or not. Like, you know, because I don't know if it's good or not. You know what I mean? This is good tea. I don't live in Wyoming, but I have a Wyoming mug, because people are complicated and anomalies, and don't ever forget that, okay? And some people live in heaven like I do, so you know, that's a pretty good thing. All right, I'll get you back to the video. I know you're dying to see what this guy has to say next. But I used to watch these video clips of this really strange movie that I just didn't. It looked different from anything else I had ever seen. And I would see little clips of it, right? I would see, like, you know, there was this scene where there was this guy. I recognized him from some other movies where he was writing at a desk in this kind of large atrium kind of room. And his wife comes down, and he's really annoyed at her. And then he starts, you know, and she's looking at what he's writing, and it's like all the same sentence, and then it would cut, right? And then I would see a scene where, you know, he's trying to break down a door that she's on the other side of, and then it would cut. You know, and then the scene where he's in a meat locker, and then it would cut, and I would never get the context for what these scenes were about. So there was this, for the longest time, there was this movie that had just haunted me. Like, what the hell is this movie? And I remember I asked my parents about it. They're like, oh yeah, that's this movie. Yeah, you can't see that till you're older, you know. So eventually, later in life, I got to watch the movie, and that was the first time. When I saw The Shining, that was the first time I knew this is what I want to do. This is what I want to do for the rest of my life. I want to make movies. It was this just beautiful experience where you're watching something that is engineered to terrify you, where the emotions are so cold and dissonant. It's one of those movies that is either going to strike you in your heart and leave you on the floor bleeding out, or you're going to watch it, you're going to be like, that was fucking stupid, right? It's just, everything about it is so different. It has this really washed out color palette to all the shots. It's framed in this weird, like, hauntingly symmetrical way, which is, you know, Kubrick's signature. The acting is so strange and off the wall, and yet so pitch perfect. You know, it has that just terrifying feeling, like something. It feels like a dream. It feels like the kind of fear that you experience in a dream. Everything from even the soundtrack, which is just noise, which I think is one of the first movies to do that. So in a way, The Shining is a pioneer, because now every single horror soundtrack is just noise, like just complete and utter noise. It also it repurposes the Dies Irae, which is this like haunting chant, this ancient chant where it goes like dun 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 dun, but on the synths. And oh my god, when I hear that sound, it's like the soundtrack to my reawakening as a person. You know, it's that good. What I love about it, and this is what Stephen King hated about it, but what I love is that no one, like, Jack is not a good person, not at all. Like, the book is supposed to be this story about a man a good man who falls to the evils of the world, and like ghosts are possessing him. Jack Nicholson, Jack Torrance in this movie is a piece of shit from the very beginning. He does not like his wife. He loves his kid, but he has problems with his kid. He's an alcoholic. He probably abused Danny at some point, and I love that. That's amazing. That's so Kubrick to be like, here's this story of a man's fall, of good man falling to evil, and we're just gonna make him be a piece of shit the whole time. Like, the balls on this man, like he was just something else. I just love that movie just for that reason. I'd always heard of the Coen brothers as like this auteur force of cinema, and they had all these good movies, Burn After Reading and Fargo. But I think No Country for Old Men taught me how beautifully terrifying silence is, because there are parts in this movie where it's just dead fucking quiet. The movie starts with this great narration from Tommy Lee Jones's character about the things he's experienced and sent someone to the electric chair, and it's just playing over like empty fields and desert and mountains, and you're thinking like, oh, is this the movie? Like, oh my God, most movies, there would be some kind of like, music going on, and like when in 1964, when I was a sheriff, like, no, it's just like, it's so different, and I love that. It also has this pitch perfect ambivalence to everything, that it's just nothing is good or bad. I mean, bad things are happening, don't get me wrong, but there's no villain, right? If there was a villain in this movie, I would say it's nature, right? It's just the power of nature and the chaos of everything, and you have these people who are really just lost wanderers who converge with one another amidst just the absolute just chaos that is going on around them. You have drug gangs, you have assassins, you have other people that want money, you have the police, and it's just all this just immaculate storm, going on the whole time, and you have no idea what's going to happen. It's one of the most unpredictable films I've seen in a long time, since like, I don't know, Psycho, And to this day, I will not go into a motel, one of those like first floor motels with the doors right on the outside, because of that scene in the movie where Sugar is walking with his feet with his shoes off, and, and he blows open the door with a cattle gun, and he fucking puts one in the guy. No, I won't. Like, I will sleep on the street before I go to a motel because of that movie. That's the thing. Like, when I made my movie, like, I chose not to put any music in it, and I think it's partly because of that movie, because there's pretty much no music in that film. You think about it, like, there's a little bit of an undercurrent every now and then of like a little boom, a little hum, a little rumble, but no soundtrack. There's no soundtrack to that film, really. And I think that's so amazing. Just letting the pure essence of that film, of that world, just play out in raw, unfettered, just brilliance. It's such an amazing film. So amazing. And I watch it all the time. I watch it more than I watch The Shining. Because, again, Kubrick hits me to my core. You know what I mean? The Coen brothers are like, they're really good films that you can watch over and over again. Kubrick films, for me, are movies that I just have to take like 6 months off. Like, I saw The Shining, and it was probably a year before I saw A Clockwork Orange, and then it was much longer before I saw 2001: A Space Odyssey, because all of those movies just fucking put me on my ass. My Dinner with Andre taught me the power of dialogue, like how impactful dialogue can be and what people say. And it made me think a lot about how people sound when they talk in movies, because there's this movie talk sound when you think about it. And each sort of era had its own sound, like the 50s and whatnot had that like very high voice, hey, we got to do this, like, frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn. They always talk like that, but then nowadays we try to take it a little more natural, kind of a lower tone. Our microphones can pick up a little more frequencies. We don't have to be like shouting all the time, and projecting our voice. But still, we have that weird sound. Like, I've heard it in action movies, and I've heard it in other movies where it's just like, they say things, and it's like, people don't talk like that, like, at all. And in this movie, I mean, this is how people sound. People have those starts and those stops, and just really taught me how chaotic and all over the place our conversation is. Just like how I'm talking to you right now. Like, I'm not talking in a straight, unfettered voice and saying this and that. No, I'm stopping and I'm starting, and I have, indigestion and stuff is coming up, and I'm doing this and that, and I'm stuttering, and there's these pauses, and that's what you get from an improvised script. And what's so amazing about that movie is that Wallace Shawn is undergoing just his whole life, his whole knowledge of everything leading up to where he is being just uprooted by what Andre Gregory is saying. I mean, he is just everything he's ever thought is being challenged, and you're just watching it play out on this man's face in just this beautiful just bafflement. Like, what the hell? That's where he first said the word, inconceivable. He's like, it's so inconceivable to think about these things, And the reason the movie is so entertaining is just the insanity of what this guy is saying, but at the same time, what he's saying is kind of true in a way, and it makes you think. Like, things he said, I remember some things that he said from that movie that just stuck with me for months. I was thinking about it, like something about, electric blanket, that whole thing, talking about how, like, he doesn't believe in blankets because of our natural ability to warm ourselves, and well, Sean is just sitting there going like, what the fuck is this guy on? And just that, the dynamic of these one person who has these philosophical kind of thoughts, and this other person who's so rooted in the city life and just kind of the day-to-day modern existence is so compelling, and nothing's going on. They're literally just talking the whole time. So that movie just, to me, revolutionized in my mind the idea of what a film could be, that a movie doesn't have to be beginning, middle, end. It can literally just be a conversation. I mean, that is so amazing. That's something that's so brilliant. I've never stepped out of a theater in the way I did when I first saw Memoria. Oh my God. That was a movie that was making me look at the world a completely different way. I left the theater, and everything, I could notice everything. Like, I was hearing the footsteps of people on the sidewalk as they were crossing. I was hearing the cars and them turning in the lane, and the little, the blinking lights, for the crosswalk. Like, I was hearing all of that all at once, and like in this weird detailed hierarchy of sound. It was like taking a drug. And I remember when I walked out of that film, and my mom picked me up, I literally couldn't explain myself. Like, I really, to the depth of my being, wish I recorded my first reaction to that film, because it was insane. I have never in my life in a theater been that blown away. I like, in the end of that movie, which I will not spoil the ending, but I was leaning in the seat. Like, like, here's my seat. There was no one in front of me, by the way. Here's the next seat in front of me. I was over like this, like, what the fuck? I couldn't believe it, because this is a movie that is just, it's so crazy to watch, because this is a slow movie. Oh my God. There are scenes in this movie where we're just looking at a plant, right? Or we're looking at this or that. The way Weird Receptacle shoots a dinner scene, it's one shot. Think about how you normally shoot a shot. Coverage. We got our master shot. We got a single on this guy, a single over the shoulder on this guy, over the shoulder on that guy. Maybe we got a shot of the waiter. No, it's just one fucking shot. That blew my fucking mind. Like, why you can get it in one shot? I've never even seen that before. And just like, I've never seen a movie like Memoria. It's so insane, because you're watching the movie and you're like, I think I know what the movie's about. I mean, I got a sense, and then something happens and you're like, what? And it's like, and this happens, and then that happens, and then you leave the theater and you realize, oh my God, was this connected? Was that connected? It is insane. It is a purely transcendental experience, and it changed my life. It changed the way I look at films. It changed the way I look at the world as a whole. I mean, it was really that just impactful for me. 100%. It's a movie that just, it has such a sense of nature and the natural world, and how the environment plays such a huge part, and how time plays such a huge part. Like, there is such a respect for moments, not just the impactful moments where something's exploding or something's doing this or someone's saying something really funny or this or that, but just the little moments that we miss. There is a scene where Tilda Swinton walks in to a band rehearsal or some kind of rehearsal that's going on, and we just play the whole song. It's like a 4-minute song. Nothing happens. She just watches them play. That is so beautiful. It's like, because it makes us appreciate the moments where something does happen. When we hear this big bang, loud bang that happens in our head, and we're thinking, what the fuck is going on? It's like you're just sitting in the theater. The movie starts. It's a purely black screen. It says, directed by Apichatpong Weerasethakul, written by Apichatpong Weerasethakul. You're sitting there, you're like, okay, what's this movie? And then bam! And it's like, what the fuck? You're like, it just shook me. And I sat in the back row of the seats where you have the speakers, and I'm telling you, my fucking whole body rumbled when you hear this giant bang that just sounds out of nowhere. And there is just something so beautiful about making a film like that people don't normally make movies like that. And that's okay. And honestly, I'll be real, like, after I watched Memoria, like, it kind of ruined movies for a while for me. Like, I would watch a normal movie that's not like this, and I'd be like, God, this movie has such a fast pace. I'm watching, like, I don't know, just some 2-hour movie or something. I'm like, God, it's so fast paced. It's so all over the place. Oh, the people don't sound right. Because again, this is a movie where people sound like people, and they pause and they stop and they do this or that, and they have these quiet conversations. There is this part. I forgot about this. There is this part, and I remember I watched people walk out of the fucking theater. There is this part where this guy lays down on the ground, and he just sleeps. He closes his eyes. It's one shot, and he's just sleeping, and we're watching it the whole time. And I'm thinking, like, the balls on this guy. I mean, you thought Kubrick was audacious, and indulgent with the way he shot his... Oh, my fucking, you have not seen anything. I think what that movie taught me too is that you really don't even need to know what's going on in a movie all the way through. It doesn't need to be as clear as most modern movies, most contemporary films make it. When you're writing a script, they tell you you're supposed to have your initial incident or your inciting incident in, like, the first 10 pages or 20 pages or something like that. But this is a movie where things happen and you don't really know if they're correlating to the overall plot of the film. They just happen, and it's amazing. It is so amazing, and it just blew my mind. Completely blew it wide the fuck open. I think, and honestly, like, if I were to pick out the most underrated director that I know of personally, and again, I don't know of a lot of directors. If I were going to pick out one of the most underrated directors that's making movies on a Hollywood level, it'd be Apichatpong Weerasethakul. 100%. He is such a unique force. Probably the freshest voice in cinema I've just ever seen. He's so fantastic. The way he blends these spiritual sort of Buddhist kind of themes into films in such a natural and candid way. I've never seen it done before. He's just amazing. And so if you've never heard of him, go back and watch Uncle Boonmee, Who Can Recall His Past Lives, or Cemetery of Splendor. Those are fantastic films. So amazing. Unfortunately, Memoria got this strange kind of release where he put it out, but he put it out only in theaters, and it's going to tour for the rest of its life only in theaters. Now, there's some, like, bootleg Blu-rays and maybe some legit ones from other countries, but it was his intention for you to see it in theaters. And I saw it in theaters. I saw it 3 times, and I actually asked my theater if I could have the poster that they had hung up in their hall in their entryway, and they gave it to me because they give away their posters when they're done with them. And I have it up here. I have it right above me. I'll get a shot of that. But that was probably the most phenomenal experience I've ever had watching a movie, period. The greatest part about this poster is that this is not in the movie. Like, this woman is from an entirely different, like, short film that where the Tentacle put out on like an unlisted link somewhere hidden in a video. It's just, this man is amazing, just an amazing dude. It did get in the Cannes Film Festival. Well, it should win every single award. I guess that's just my opinion, but you know, it is my channel. So those are the movies that changed my life, and 100% changed my life, and changed the way and shaped the way I look at films to this day, right? So whenever I'm watching a movie, I'm coming from that position. I'm saying, here were these groundbreaking, just audacious filmmakers and these crews and these people, these sound guys, these actors, these set designers, all of these people who could create this fantastic, beautiful film, right? So, you know, that's where I'm coming from. And yeah, so that's pretty much, those are the movies that shaped the kind of filmmaker I want to be. As a result, the films that I write and the one I've made, you know, they're very ambivalent, right? You know, there's not really a villain, there's not a hero. It's just things happening in this chaotic, insane world. And I think it's beautiful. I just think it's such an amazing thing, movies, you know, and films. So, yeah. Well, thank you for watching this video. Let me know what your movies are that changed your life, and if there are any movies that changed your life. I know some people don't like to think that movies are essential to life. We don't talk to those people, all right? We put those people in a little corner of our minds we like to call the shadow zone, okay? So if you're in the shadow zone, come out to the light, okay? Movies are great. I like movies. All honesty, like what you want. Do what you want, as long as it's not hurting anyone else or illegal, or yeah. But I want to know. I mean, I want to know what kind of movies you like, and what are the movies that change your life. You know, because I don't care if it's Shark Boy and Lava Girl. I don't care if it's Barbie's Dream House Adventure Part 8. Okay, it's valid. If it's a movie, if it moves and it's a picture, it's valid. And look at the beautiful. Look at this beautiful scenery. You know, listen to the birds. Make sure to listen to the birds, okay? Next time you're outside, listen to the birds. All right, we'll see